Okay. As I communicated a few minutes back, I think let's get started. Please, if you are not given the chance to speak, stay muted so that you don't interrupt. Please stay muted until you are given a chance to speak. Please stay muted.
Yes.
As I communicated a few minutes back, let's get started. We expect maybe many more people to join this session. However, we want to keep time, and so we have to get started. Welcome for this first of three information sharing sessions regarding the Chevening Scholarship application process. Today we are looking at general information that I will be sharing, and my colleagues will be chipping in at the end with maybe additional comments and maybe feedback. I'll take you through the overview of the application process. I'll give you a few tips, and then at the end we will do question and answer, as I said at the end of the presentation. My names appear as on the screen, Leju Benjamin Modi. I am currently finishing my MSc in epidemiology at the London School of Hygiene as a Chevening scholar. So I welcome you for this presentation. Like I said, I have colleagues online. I've seen Robert. Robert, would you like to say hi and introduce yourself? It seems you are the only other colleague I know online here.
Hello, yes. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, colleagues joining from everywhere. My name is Robert Lubajo. I'm a Chevening alumni 2022-2023. I studied Master's Health Policy, Planning and Financing from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine and the London School of Economics and Political Science. Welcome to this information session. This is the second time in a row we are doing. We started it last year and I think that it was successful. It yielded results. And so we are continuing it and we are hoping that the current selected scholars alongside the team that is already finalizing, including Benjamin, would be here to give you important tips on how you can apply for this scholarship. So yeah, I look forward to hearing questions from you and we'll be responding appropriately. So welcome.
Thank you, Robert. I don't see any other colleague of ours, mentor, online at the moment, but if they do join along the way, we will maybe give them an opportunity. So thank you for introducing yourself. I like to start this presentation usually with this slide that gives me an understanding of who has shown interest in the Chevening Scholarship application this year. I see that there are about 25 or so of you who have joined this call, of course, including mentors. But as we ran a registration period for this call, 145 people did register. 72% of those were males. And we also asked a few questions which are related to the eligibility for Chevening Scholarship. For example, whether you have a degree, bachelor's degree. 92% said yes, they have that degree. Regarding work experience, quite a lot of you who registered said they have it, the 2-year experience. That's 137. That's 94%. What really impressed me most was where people have registered from, up to 15 countries, different countries where people have got to know about the session and they registered for it. And I think that's really very nice. As you see the names of the countries, they include even countries outside of Africa. So that's really nice. We will run 3 sessions, and we asked you how many or which of those 3 do you really want to attend, and majority of them who registered said they want to attend all sessions. And I think if you really want to apply for the scholarship this year, it will be more helpful for you attending all 3 than just one of them. We also asked if someone who registered had previously applied for Chevening Scholarship. 79% of those who registered said they had never before applied, and I think that's good. This is an opportunity for you to put up a very, very compelling and competitive application on the start. and hopefully you'll get selected. There are those who applied once before, about 21 people, and then those who have applied maybe twice or more, about 9 people. And I'd like to really encourage you who has, especially one of you or all of you who have applied more than once and still want to give it another try. I'd like to encourage you that this call and the next 2, please attend them, and maybe it will help you to improve the way you have been applying, and hopefully this will be your chance coming up. I also like to give this disclaimer from the start that we are just Chevening scholarship recipients, either current or past. We have no connection whatsoever with the Chevening selection process. We only share with you our experiences, our knowledge of how the application should be done. And therefore, there is no guarantee that attending this session will definitely get you selected for scholarship next year. So take it that way. And the views we are expressing here definitely are not necessarily those of the maybe embassy or high commission in your country or Chevening scholarship as a whole. And our logistics organizing these meetings, of course, were supported by Excellence Foundation for South Sudan, EFSS. These sessions also do not represent their views in any way. So that's a disclaimer for that. We don't do these sessions for payment, like Robert put it earlier. We think when we share the way people apply, I mean, when we share our experiences, how best somebody should apply, and they go on to get the scholarship, we are happy. And we do it basically for that fulfillment that, yes, we have contributed to somebody getting a scholarship that is potentially life-changing for them, and also that we've contributed to building the alumni community of the scholarship. So we just basically do it because we are happy to do it, but also because other people ahead of us could have helped us during our application that became successful. So we are also paying it forward. And we hope that when you attend these sessions and you go on to get selected, you will also be motivated and inspired to pay forward. I like this quote that is often attributed to John F. Kennedy, that if there is any rising tide, then all boats will be lifted. So a rising tide won't select one boat over the other. It will lift up all the boats. So we also think that having gotten the scholarship, if you think of that as somebody who has risen or is a tide, then let's also help others get it by lifting them up. And also the famous scientist Sir Isaac Newton is known to have said that if I have seen further, it is by standing on the shoulders of giants. And so why not? If you think what we are doing is considering us like giants, then we are giving you a shoulder to stand on so that you would see further. Okay, basic things. Back to the presentation. Today we are looking at general understanding of the Chevening scholarship process, especially the application. And so I'll be taking you through background information of what the scholarship is. I think it's very important for you to know what you are applying for. And then I'll also highlight the eligibility criteria, application timeline, how should you apply, a few guidance or steps that you should take. And then I'll briefly introduce each of the 4 essays. The next 2 sessions that will be run by us will delve into the details of each of those essays. So I'm not going to go into any details in this session. I will also do general tips and share with you some resources, especially links on the Chevening website that you could simply go to and read to guide you or help you. And if you have any questions, like I said, you can be posting in the chat box as we go on with the presentation, or if we have enough time later, we can allow everybody ask their question and we respond. Slides will be shared through EFSS, who will then share with you through emails so that you can access the presentation on top of the recording that actually is streamlined on YouTube. So, Chevening scholarship. So Chevening actually gives both scholarships and fellowships, but fellowships are not in all countries. It is scholarships that are really in many, many countries. Majority of the countries have Chevening scholarships. And so this session will focus on scholarships as opposed to fellowships, which are actually for people who have master's degrees and doing some post-master's degree kind of studies. So in the scholarship bit, Chevening scholarship is a fully funded scholarship, meaning that they'll give you your flights, 2 flights to UK and back to your country. They'll accommodate you. They'll give you your tuition, not to you, of course, pay to the university. And they give you the stipend that covers actually your accommodation, your upkeep. And so it's really fully funded. Like they do not expect you to contribute anything from the pocket, at least for most of the courses. And it's a UK government scholarship for international students, really pretty much across the world. And it's only for a 1-year course, 1-year master's course in the UK. Do not think of applying for a 2-year, 3-year course in the UK and you think Chevening will sponsor you. It was established in 1983. This year, it will be 41 years old, the scholarship itself. And the application is free. It's online. Do not be cheated by anybody asking money from you. And by this year, there are over 60,000 people who have gone through the Chevening application support, and they have become alumni from over 160 countries and territories across the world. There are various master's degree courses and universities in the UK that are partners of Chevening, and Chevening will select you for any of those courses in the universities that they are partners with. A lot of that information is available on the website. But when you go to that course page, the eligible courses, you will realize that one of the courses, that is Masters in Business Administration, tends to have a capping in terms of the amount Chevening will pay you. So if you go for MBA and you are selected and your university asks beyond that amount, then that's where you can be asked to top up the rest. But most, I should say all the other courses, Chevening covers everything. The Chevening Secretariat, through the Foreign, Commonwealth and the Development Office, FCDO, which is the branch of government responsible, collaborates with the British Council to implement the whole Chevening scholarship process. You can apply for Chevening as many times as possible until you get it, I would say, if you have that motivation enough. There is no limit of, say, you have applied this many times, don't apply again. Last year, 2023, 1,364 students were selected as scholars out of over 71,000 applicants. So that gives you a selection rate of just about 2% worldwide. And people were selected from 140 countries, and they are currently maybe studying or winding up their studies in 111 UK universities across the whole UK. That's briefly what Chevening Scholarship is. Of course, there's a lot more information you can read from the website. Now, who can apply for this scholarship? In the website, I quoted this directly. They are looking for outstanding emerging leaders from all over the world. And sometimes people think to be a leader, you have to be a politician, maybe a local council chairperson, or maybe a member of parliament. No, you are a leader naturally in the position you are in, at the workplace you are in, at maybe school that you were in, and all that. So that kind of leadership is what Chevening is looking for. Are you that kind of emerging leader who tomorrow and the next day will be influential in the world? To be eligible, even though you're an emerging leader, you have to be a citizen of a Chevening eligible country or territory. And again, all those are on the website. You have to check if your country is actually eligible. And you must also be willing to return to your country for a minimum of 2 years after you complete your studies in the UK. And these are some of the terms and conditions. When you are completing the application, you will have to be expected to say, yes, I will do this. Yes, I will go back to my country. Because Chevening is not a way for you to change your citizenship from whichever country to become a British citizen. No. You should have completed all components of an undergraduate degree. And that's important because without completing, no university might admit you. So if you are not admitted, then Chevening may not sponsor you. And of course, most UK universities will admit what they call the 2-to-1 or 2.1 honors degree, which is in most countries the equivalent of a second degree upper bachelor's degree classification. And so if you have your grades around there, first of all, it improves your chances of being selected by a university, and therefore Chevening may also then select you. You must have at least 2 years work experience, or it's equated to 2,800 hours of work experience. This work experience includes even internships or any unpaid voluntary work, as long as you can document it and show that, yeah, I did this and this was how much time I put in. You have to apply to 3 different eligible UK university courses and receive an unconditional offer from at least one of these by the deadline that the application timeline will list for you. So that is also an eligibility criterion. If you don't apply, if you don't indicate in your application form, you might not be considered for the scholarship. There is also on the website information regarding who may not be eligible. So I'll encourage you to also look at that and see what might not be applying to you. Now, the timelines for 2025-26 academic year scholarship, the application already opened earlier this month on the 6th, 11 days ago to say, and it will close on November the 5th. I've not included the specific times here, like time of the day, but you need to check that so that you are within the timeline. I would encourage that you start your application early, especially filling in those different parts, as I will show you later, of the application form that are pretty straightforward. You just read and select the best answer that you know you need to give. I'll recommend that you start doing all that as early as possible, create your account. By the 6th of November, so that's the day after the application closes, applications will be sifted against eligibility. So they run every application submitted against those eligibility criteria I've taken you through. And then they will see which ones can progress to the next, which ones may not. Of course, beginning with, for example, the bachelor's degree, the hours of work experience, stuff like that. As you notice, there is no age mentioned in the eligibility criteria, but Chevening does not expect somebody 18 years or less to have qualified enough to be doing a master's degree. So they will say on the website maybe 18 years and above, like no limit, no upper limit. So the eligibility criteria will be used to screen the applications. Those that meet all eligibility criteria then will progress to what they call the assessment by the readers. So the readers will now read your applications, mostly the essay parts. So they will then be scoring them, ranking them, and all that is within November to January, really, next year. So the ones that have been ranked top best by country will be sent to the respective countries, either the British Embassy or the High Commission, depending on the country. And then in mid-February next year, those embassies, having received their ranked applicants, will now do their shortlisting for interviews and notify those who have been ranked high enough to attend interviews about the interview period. In February as well, around the 19th, you are expected to submit your academic documents on the portal, application portal, and your references, 2 references. So for now, you have to have those documents, especially the academic documents, readily somewhere, but you can still upload them in February along with their references. Now, from 26th of February to 25th of April next year, 2 full months will be interview sessions across the world. So every country within that period will be doing interviews for their selected candidates. In June next year is when results for the interviews will be out. People who have been selected will receive conditional award letters, or CAL or CALs. Those letters will have listed conditions that, we have for now progressed you here. we want you to fulfill these many conditions as there may be, and then you will be selected, given a final award. Some of those conditions include, of course, one important one is you have to get the unconditional offer from the university you have chosen and the course, and then other conditions that you might also meet as listed. So that will be around early June. By July 11th next year, you should be able to submit the unconditional offer. And then when you submit, it will take maybe a week or two or so. It's not definite period. You will then receive the final award letter. And then the final award letter now details everything that is part of your scholarship. How much stipend will you receive? What date do you start? What date do you end? And so on and so forth. That will be in the final award letter. And once you got that, you will apply to your university whose unconditional offer you submitted to, you submitted to Chevening. Then you apply for the confirmation of acceptance for studies, CAS letter from your university. This is the document that shows your university's commitment to sponsor your visa to study in the UK. So when you get your CAS from your university, you have your final award letter. You have, of course, to do your TB test. Most African countries, I think most countries, maybe across the world, will be required to do TB test. So that's a chest X-ray that you will have to take at a designated center. So you take the TB test. If it is negative, you get a certificate for it. Now you have your final award letter, your CAS, your certificate for TB, which is negative. Hopefully, you book your visa to the UK. All that from around mid-July to perhaps early September. And once your visa is out, mostly within 5 working days, you will then book your flight. And after that, in early September to October, you will hopefully travel to the UK to start your studies. This is timeline that is also there on the website, Chevening website. I just wanted to highlight it here because sometimes you might not spend enough time to understand what's there. The purpose for our 3 sessions beginning today mainly is this period, August 6th to November 5th. We want to help you submit competitive applications. And so that's why we are doing these sessions. The rest will come as time goes, especially from February next year. Like I said, if you have been attempting once, twice, 3 times, how many times? You might not want to give up because your time might not have just come. You could still be selected, just as I did on the second time. Now, how do you apply? First thing I think you need to ask yourself is whether you are really ready for a 1-year study in the UK. And this readiness, you need to think through it like all round, ready in mind, ready in plans of whatever your life is about and so on, job, maybe family, maybe really whatever is around you. Are you ready? That's, I think, the most important first point you need to start from. And if the answer is yes, then you start your homework. Still a lot of time for you, definitely, even if you have not yet started applying. It's still a lot of time for you considering the timeline. But what are you doing about it already? Have you accessed the Chevening website yet? Do you know what it looks like? What is on the homepage? Start reading about it. Read about Chevening scholarship on their website. There is a lot of information there that actually helps you to understand the scholarship and be able to put up a competitive application from the start. There are people who have applied once and they actually got the scholarship, but they will tell you they spent time reading on the website to understand the scholarship. Things like the eligibility criteria, application guidance, step by step, they have provided a lot of guidance on the application. How do you find a course that is approved for Chevening scholarship? And maybe the university as well. There is a lot of information why you should choose to study in the UK. There are a lot of frequently asked questions and answers on the website, a lot of information. So that, to me, is your most important step if you have decided to apply. Understand the scholarship from there. Then decide on your course or university that you want to study in. Of course, you need to read about the course, academic and other requirements given by the university. Chevening may not do anything about your course requirements. For example, if it is English language test requirement, Chevening cannot say, no, don't bother him, I'm taking him or her. No, that is a university requirement. You have to understand the course as per the university requirements. Do you meet those requirements? If you don't have some of them, can you meet them in a few days or weeks or months? Then you work around that, right? Find your referees and inform them as soon as now. Oh, so and so, I'm intending to apply for Chevening Scholarship. I'd like you to be my referee. As I said earlier, references will be uploaded in February, but they need to know that you want them to reference you, because you have to put their details as you are applying already, that my referees will be so and so and so. Okay. There is also on the website information about references, who can be your referee and what should they say about you. Find that from the website. Prepare your academic documents, your CV, as I'll show you. Your work history will be required, so you need your CV updated. Then you start your application online. Every country will have their specific portal or URL that you will go to, and then you apply, as I will show you in a few minutes. Then you also want to write your essays as early as possible. And then, if possible, let somebody have a look at it. Let somebody review them. Like Robert put it last year, he and I looked through a few tens of essays of people that we reviewed, right? So write your essays early. Don't submit anything so quickly in a haste. Try to be so intentional and write your essays, go away, relax, come back, read. You will always find something to improve, and somebody else can also look through, and you will be surprised that they would have improved your essays before you go on to submit. Revise your application essays. I've mentioned that severally. You do it and aim to submit your application maybe a week to the deadline. It's always better not to wait to the last day. I remember last year's applicants, there was a lot of cry on social media. Some people who could not submit on the final day of the application. I think it was 6 hours before the deadline, the exact hour. So a lot of cry, and I think Chevening had to open up the submission time for a few more hours or even days. It might not happen every day, and even if they do that, you cannot be sure how they will manage or treat those applications that were submitted later. I'm not trying to point fingers at anybody, but you have to be responsible for your own timekeeping. Submitting a week earlier is better for you, because usually the system is not too congested. Maybe you may not have many challenges with it. So it's beyond your control what the system will do. You have to, after submitting your application, of course, now work on getting the unconditional offer from those universities you've listed in your application. You have to apply to them. When you are applying to Chevening, of course, they ask you whether you have applied or not. There is the option to say, I am, or I have applied. You say you have applied even if you have not yet, but you are sure you're going to apply to the university, right? So you say you have applied, but you've not yet got feedback, or you're waiting for feedback. So that means you have to then apply and hope that they will select you, the university will select you. So that's your next stage after submitting the application to Chevening. In getting that unconditional offer, if the university requires English language tests, by all means, that is also your chance to start working on it and getting the scores or bands that they require. This English language requirement is not a Chevening condition. Okay, briefly, let me show you what. So if your internet is as fast as mine now, that I'm blessed to have for today, you will just click the Chevening website and you are there. And so this is the homepage. A lot of information that I'm not going to take you through everything. But when you go to the homepage, you will see these tabs, a lot of things here. Resource Hub, there's the application guidance you want to read here. Scholarships, why do you want to study in the UK? You have to read timeline. How do you find a course? The FAQs are there. Fellowships may not interest you for now. If you want to know the impact of Chevening over 40 years, you can also go there and read a lot more. But I would recommend the application guidance, and these links you might want to really read from here to understand the scholarship more. And after you think you have understood, you have taken your notes about Chevening and what you might require to include in your application, you could go to apply. So when you click apply, like I said, every country has their different portal. If you are from Afghanistan, for example, you are lucky your country is listed just at the top here by alphabet order. But if your country is somewhere listed way down, for example, like Zimbabwe, you may want to just search. Okay. Now that is the country. What scholarship do you want? Is it okay? What support? Is it the scholarship or the fellowship? So you select, say you want the scholarship, and then you now search.
You're not
When you
seeing what you're
search,
presenting to all of us. It's just the link on the screen. I don't know.
oh really?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's just
sorry about that.
probably the internet.
Yeah, I think it's the sharing. Right. Sorry about that. Let me go back. I'll show you. Let me just change what I'm sharing. Do you see it now?
Yes, we can see.
You see what I am showing? The website.
Yes, we can see it
Good.
now.
Yeah, thank you, Robert. So this is the website. I'll show you again. These are the many tabs. Here you have your application guidance that you want to go to. Here you have your scholarships, a lot of information that I recommend you look at. Why do you want to study here? How do you find the course that you want to study? The timeline again is here. Frequently asked questions, very helpful for you. And I was saying, if you want to read about the impact of Chevening scholarship, you can read more here. And if you believe you've read enough information about Chevening and you want to now apply, you go to the button apply. When you click, it takes you to the country or territory you have to choose. For example, here, if you are from Albania, it's just around the top. So you can just click here and you go to the page for Albania. But I was giving the example that if you are from Zimbabwe, for example, you don't want to scroll all the way down. You just you search Zimbabwe, you say you want the scholarship, and then you search. This will take you to the page for Zimbabwe, right? So those are possibly alumni from Zimbabwe in the past who received the scholarship. So Chevening in Zimbabwe, if you are from Zimbabwe, you want to read a little bit about what they are doing, maybe what your alumni are doing and all that. You have to take time. It's not one day thing. So once you are satisfied and you now want to apply, you also click apply today from Zimbabwe, right? So you reach here, you are again to choose the award. So you have to select the country once again, Zimbabwe, right? So for Zimbabwe, it's only the scholarship. So it seems there are no fellowships there, right? I'm not sure. So you just select the scholarship and you continue. Now you have to fill this, put your email, your mobile number, and all that. You have to agree that what you have read and understood the scholarship terms and conditions, and then you continue. So step by step like that, you keep going, you keep filling in those fields that come up until it will take you to your application portal. It will send an email to the email address that you have put here for you to confirm your email, your application portal. And once you confirm that, now you are ready to start filling out the form. This is briefly what the application portal looks like, or rather the application process and form on the website. Now, so this was the website and it's on the slides. So you just click, you go there and you navigate. So when you go to your application portal and you're ready to apply, this year the form appears with these details. Personal details, your name, address, of course, country of origin and stuff, citizenship and travel documents, your passport, maybe number and maybe national ID number, or which countries you have visited before and all that. I've not gone into the details of the form. What happened? What happened that the recording stopped?
Not sure what happened. Do we have, can you try to re-record it again?
Sorry?
I'm not sure what happened. Are you the one recording it or someone?
Yeah, a co-host, and well, I will continue to record.
Okay.
I'm
It's
recording
back.
this bit on my on my PC. I'll share with the Excellence Foundation. So when you go to the application form, you have these parts: the personal details, the citizenship, higher education history. Please don't put your primary education, your senior one, I don't know, secondary education here. Higher education is from the degree level. You have to indicate that. Work history, as I mentioned earlier, if you have any internships, say 1-year internship or voluntary work that you believe has contributed a lot to community and also to your, experience and life, include that there. Program of study is the course that you have chosen, and of course, listing the universities that you want to study there. You have to provide 3, as I mentioned, ranking them from the first to the third choices. And then referees, you have to give the details of your referees, people who will be writing your references later in February. And then the supporting statements. These are actually the 4 main essays that they want you to write. And these essays will be discussed in detail in the next 2 sessions, as I already mentioned, but I will just have a brief introduction to each of them in this session. Then there is a section on equal opportunities. Do you have any disability, and so on and so forth. And then finally, the submission button will be there. So this is, in brief, the parts of the application form you will find. Now, the essays, these are very common tricks that every applicant will tell you how they wrote their essays to make them successful. And one thing is, the essays have a certain technique, a certain approach that you need to write them. For example, one important thing, first of all, is the number of words. The words they require, as in the website, you will find there between 100 words and 500 words only. You have to write an essay. I don't think you can ever write a convincing essay in only 100 words, but the maximum must be 500 words. That means you have very few words to write very, very convincing essays, and that means you have to be direct to the point. No giving of defining what, for example, career is, or defining what leadership is. That may not really, that's waste of words. Quoting what somebody said about leadership or what somebody said about networking is not helpful. There is one thing that we've always encouraged people to use, the STAR method, which stands for situation, task, action, and results. Situation, think of it as a problem or challenge. Details of this will come in the presentations about the respective essays, but I'm just trying to hint, because we might want you to start writing your essays as you go on with the application, and then that means it will be helpful for you to know from now. For example, the leadership and influence, and the relationship building and shared learning, which is summarized as networking essay. These 2 tend to follow the STAR approach. So they are asking you, and I'll show you what the question actually says in the next slides, but they're asking you to give examples. So the examples have to follow the STAR method. First example is, there was this kind of situation, this kind of task needed to be executed. This is the action I did or I took, and these are the results. Second example, STAR. Third example, however many examples within the 500 words, STAR. And you will have probably written very convincing leadership and networking essays. Then we are saying that give up to 3 to 4 examples. 1 or 2, maybe, but you might not be convincing enough if you don't give up to, say, 3. But if you give more, that means you are probably going to write too many words, or you might write inadequate examples that are not convincing enough. But really, 3 examples that are well explained within the 500-word limit will be good. And there's that concept we say, write more with less. So be direct, be specific, and you will have written more information with just a few words. Then the studying in the UK essay, here they really want you to show how well you have researched about your course, your university of choice. And so how well they will be able to know is whether you're able to mention the modules in that course, who are the professors in that university, maybe what groundbreaking publications have been put out there by these these professors or this university, that kind of thing. So it's a lot of researching both at the university side level and even generally on the Chevening website, UK studies. There is also information on the Chevening website, which is more general, but not specific to the courses. So you need to bring out that. And then the last essay, which is on career plan, we encourage you to signpost, after I come back from the UK, this is how my career will flow. All right. In the short term, that is signposting. You're pointing the reader that this is short-term plan I have. This is what I will do. Maybe your short term is 2 years or 3, depending on what your career plan looks like. And then in the midterm, for example, this is how much I want to achieve. These are the things I will do. And then in the long term, which is of course the long-term career plan that you have, this is also. Career plans or goals must be SMART, specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound. Details of all this will come when we talk about each essay, right? Now, this is what the question is for you who will be starting to write up your essays even tomorrow or today. Chevening is looking for individuals who will be future leaders or influencers in their home countries. Explain how you meet these criteria using clear examples of your own leadership and influencing skills to support your answer. And I said minimum is 100 words, maximum 500 words. You need to first understand the question, break it down a little bit, right? Future leaders or influencers in their home countries. Do you figure yourself as one such person in your own country? Do you think you are potentially going to become a leader or an influencer who can walk to maybe a minister and, seek audience and discuss an issue of the community, and, from that discussion, something very remarkable happens? Do you figure yourself as such a person? That's the kind of person Chevening is looking for. Or are you the other side, the opposite, who is so meek, so shy, and, always fears to talk to big people? That you need to understand. Then how do you meet this requirement of the kind of person they are looking for? This is where your examples have to come in. You have to demonstrate through those examples that you have ever led something or people or a group, and also you have ever influenced something to happen. And you have no more than 500 words to do that. Like I said, STAR is the way to go. And the results must be measurable. You must say it in terms of quantifiable, quantifiable way, that maybe from the moment you took the action, this was the level of the situation, and after the resolution of the problem or the situation, this was the outcome. If it is percentages or whole numbers or whatever, it has to be measurable so that we will know that, hey, from your leadership and influence, this much has been achieved. The networking essay, Chevening is also looking for people with strong professional relationship building skills. Okay, who will engage with the Chevening community and influence and lead others in their chosen profession. Please explain how you build and maintain relationships in a professional capacity using clear examples of how you currently do this, and outline how you hope to use these skills in the future. Again, break the whole statement down. It's a mouthful if you just read that question. But if you break it down, strong professional relationship building skills, then you sit back and ask yourself, what skills do I have that are helping me in relationship building? Are they strong enough? So there is over 60,000 alumni of this scholarship now. How will I fit in that, pool of people? How will I start building relationship or influencing them? Okay. How have you so far built any and maintained any relationship, professional relationship, not intimate relationships? So think through these questions and analyze and reflect before you even put any word down. Then clear examples. You have to demonstrate how you currently do this. How do you hope to use these skills that you now have in the future to now be able to influence and network with the rest of people? Again, in your examples, try to use the STAR method as much as possible to demonstrate your networking abilities. The studying in the UK essay, the question is outline why you have selected your chosen 3 university courses and explain how this relates to your previous academic or professional experience and your plans for the future. Please enter new information and examples here and not duplicate the information you have entered on the work experience and education section of this form. Again, that's a mouthful. Break it down. So you have listed 3 courses. Ask yourself why. Why those 3 courses? Why one of them is first, the other is third, for example. This is how you start to reflect and be able to know what you want to write down. Then what is the relationship with your previous academic or professional experience? So you, a medical doctor who wants to come and study, for example, political science at the London School of Economics and Political Science. Is it because LSE is a sounding name and so you want to study political science? How does that build with your profession of being a medical doctor now? This is the kind of reflection and question that you ask yourself. Relationship with your future plans again. So if you are a medical doctor and you're saying you want to study political science, how is your future? What is your future plan? How is this going to relate? And you will now see that with this point of relationship with your future plans, it is building you to the last essay, which is career plan. So there has to be, at the end of it all, a connection between your studying in the UK and your career plan. You cannot come and study 1-year course and your career plan will never reflect anything related to that course. That means it's not related, and therefore you have a disconnect. Of course, they want new information here, so you should be able to bring in new examples. And the tip here is that for your application, consider either the same course in 3 different universities, okay, or similar kind of course in 3 different universities. The options are there on the form, or because they give you the option of 3 different courses in 1 university is also another option. But it will be much more difficult for you to explain why 3 different courses that are really, really different apart in 1 university. Like, how will you be able to connect the dots? It's more difficult to write the essay if your courses are so different than if they are related. We will see this more when we talk about the essay in a future session. The last essay is career plan. In this essay, Chevening is looking for individuals who have a clear post-study career plan. Please outline your immediate plans upon returning home and your longer-term career goals. You may wish to consider how these relate to what the UK government is doing in your country. When you sit and reflect on this question, ask yourself, after 1 year in the UK, is my career plan clear? Like, step by step, if I tell someone this is what I want to go and do, will somebody be able to visualize that 10 years from today, I'll find so and so at this level? Is it clear? What are your immediate career goals? Think of them as the low-hanging fruits, things you can easily go and really start off with. You don't have to make them too complex. And then mid and long-term career goals, of course, must build your career, your profession, from what you studied in the UK, growing into a more senior career in it. Relationship with UK government activities in your country. This is a good homework. You should be asking, what is UK government doing in your country at the moment? What projects are they implementing? What services, maybe what, cooperations, maybe with the government or local communities? What are the things UK government is doing in your country? How will your career fit in that? Will you be able to partner with the UK government in those activities and so on? How will you put your knowledge, skills, experience from the UK to use? Very important. And how are your your career plan or career goals related to sustainable development goals? This is what now people are looking at, the whole world is working at. You should try to make yourself relevant to the world, for example, by thinking about SDGs. Your career plans from short-term, mid, and long-term must be consistent. Somebody must see that this is a growing path of career. It's not haphazard. It's not like what you will do in the mid or long term is very far different from what is in the immediate. You have to build it on each other. And the coherence from the studying in the UK has to be seen. And of course, as I mentioned, they must be smart. I mean the goals. So having looked at briefly the essay questions and how you could really approach them, general tips here are when writing your essays especially and really completing the application as a whole, the form, Be original. Do not try to plagiarize anything. Do not try to create anything of your head that you may not be able to replicate tomorrow by your mouth if you are asked. Do not try to use anything like artificial intelligence, which is a common thing for lazy people these days. People can catch you. Of course, use of correct grammar is important. This is important, giving the application process its due diligence. Like I said, do not do things in a haste. You have nearly 3 months from the 6th of this month, 3 months to apply. Why should you rush and crash, So keep revising your form, your application form, keep improving and correcting any errors. First, research widely before applying. I've talked a lot about this from the website, from other sources, including Gray Literature or Google, for example. So select 3 different courses from one university. This is the condition on the Chevening website, but as I said, I recommend what is in bold, either the same name of a course or similar name of a course, 3 different universities. It's much easier to just compare the same thing between universities and why your ranking is first to third. Stick to the word counts. I remember last year, I don't know, I had the opportunity to review somebody's essays maybe twice or so. And still the person's words were, for one essay, over 1,000. I told them, no, this one now I cannot review. Stick to the words, right? 500 words, don't try to go beyond that. Use as different examples as possible. I've said that already. After submitting, make sure your next work is university application for the courses. There is a lot of information people have shared on YouTube, especially about applications, about how they wrote their essays and stuff like that. You might want to access some of those to prepare you. Not everything you hear from everybody may be correct, so you don't want to take in every approach, but you just want to maybe watch as many as possible and see which ones give you the best possible approaches. Remember, there's the 5 P's that people talk about. Proper planning prevents poor performance. If you don't plan very well, like I didn't do in my first attempt in 2021, I didn't make it. So if you want to get good performance or very good performance and make it to Chevening, to the UK as a Chevening scholar, you have to do your planning very well, properly, so that you prevent the poor performance. These are links, especially of the resources, especially on the website, Chevening website, and they're basically there. Some of them I already showed you where to access them, but when you get the slides, you could just easily click on each of them and just takes you there. Frequently asked questions, eligibility, timeline, and so on, scholarship guidance generally, right? Applying. So your country that you want to apply through, you have to go to their website, references, the report for last year, if you want to read about it, the impact of Chevening. And important, I think you should be interested in is common application errors. Especially if you are going to apply for the first time, you might want to know what other people didn't do well in. They are also there on the website. You might want to avoid them right away. If you are applying after first or second or previous attempts, you might want to look at that link and say, hey, where did I go wrong? These are very resourceful links for you. Now, our support for whoever is interested in applying goes in 2 more sessions coming up. The next one will be on the 7th of September, same time, Saturday, the same time. The last one will be on 21st of September, also a Saturday, the same time. After that, we will open to receive any essays that you people would have written up for those who want to seriously apply. We will communicate how to send these essays for those who want to apply, but it will be via email. And amongst us who are willing to support review your essays, we will then know how to share those essays amongst ourselves and review and give you feedback. So that submission of your essays for review will be a 2 weeks space of time between 21st of September and 17 hours GMT on the 4th of October, so that we will have maybe 2 weeks to review and give you feedback. So you should be able to have your 1 week space to be able to submit your essays. Of course, when we give you the feedback, we expect you to work on it and improve the essays. We will only review essays once. Nobody's going to do that more than once because we are really trying to sacrifice and there might not be much time to do review again and again. So try you on your own to come up with as best essays as possible. And when we look at them, it will maybe reduce the kind of amount of feedback we give you, and it will make it easier for you to improve them as well. I thank you for listening. I don't know if there are any additions from alumni in the call now. Robert, do you have any comments or additions before we open up for questions? As I also look at who may have joined in the meantime.
Yes, thank you, Benjamin, for this wonderful presentation. It was really exhaustive, and I think that it was clear to all the prospective applicants out there. I do not think that I have any specific comment now because you've spoken everything that I would have said. Rather, I'll be looking forward to the Q&A session so we can be able to answer some of the questions that stand out right now. Of course, you know, these are processes, so maybe the questions you're asking might be answered in the next session, and we'll let you know if that is the case. So maybe for now, let's hear from the other alumni. I saw Gift, and then the newly selected scholar, James Wegg, if he has a few things to share with us. I've seen him in the link, so maybe you're welcome. Bye.
Thank you, Robert. Are they in here? Gift?
Yes, Gift was in, and James
Oh,
Wegg.
yeah, Gift, go ahead. Do you have any comment? Yeah, go ahead.
Thanks a lot. And I really appreciate everyone, especially those who joined our session today. And it really shows a high level of spirit that you people all have to change South Sudan. For now, I don't really have much comments, but what I would recommend is that today you have to go to the website, as Dr. Leju had said earlier on. Familiarize yourself with everything, especially the requirements and how to calculate the working hours. And you also have to think about the course that you're going to do, because that will form the basis for your essay writing. If you don't know which course you're going to, the university, then you may find it so hard craft the why study in the UK. So you need to get down yourself, start writing your leadership examples, just giving a note point here. Which one would you take? I know we all have so many leadership examples, but choose the most important ones that you feel can really support or can back your information up. That will help you. Everything will get going well. And for our situation in South Sudan, for instance, we're working where anything can happen anytime. Maybe a thief may steal your laptop or something of that kind. I would recommend that when you're drafting your essays, you have to use Google Docs, because it backs your information automatically. In case you lose data, then you'll find everything backed. Thank you.
Thank you, Gift. I don't see James on the call. Maybe he dropped due to internet issue. Right. So if there's no other recipient of Chevening Scholarship who wants to make any comments, I'm looking at the chat box. I think some of the concerns were addressed after I shared the website screen. The links, as I said, all the slides will be shared via email, so you will get the links there. You could still go to the website, really, and you will be able to navigate to every link that you want to go to. Some questions in the chat box. How do I know what university offer what? That's interesting. You could go to the course page, look at the courses that are sponsored by Chevening. Students are sponsored by Chevening for, and then you could maybe click or search which universities offer that course actually. That might be an easier way. There's no one direct answer to that, Lisok. Abalu is saying, do they consider working experience from the time you obtained your bachelor or total time worked even before? Definitely, any time worked even before your bachelor's degree should go into your work experience. That's acceptable. I mean, there are people who start with the certificate, they work, they go for diploma, they work, and so on and so forth. It doesn't mean their work experience is invalid. One made it to interview stage, but was not finally selected. In the essay, some examples used in previous essay are the works an applicant is continuing to be doing. Is it okay to use same examples in the previous essays? I think yes, it's allowed. But I mean, the point is, between your last application and this one that you are submitting, is there anything really? I mean, is there really nothing that you have done that has impacted either the community or your life more than your last examples? You should ask yourself that question. If there is, even if it is within the same work that you are doing, you might want to panel beat your example a little bit to reflect whatever is new that you could have added to the community or to yourself. So it's just a game of, how do I improve this? For example, if you have stayed in the same job for the last 2-3 years, in the last 1 year, I expect that maybe you have either run a new project, implemented something else, and maybe you've made an impact that you can quantify. So that's fine. My question is whether it's advisable to use 2 professional referees without adding 1 academic referee. Referees, there is a website for it. Go there. As I said, it gives you who can be your referee, who cannot be. So look at that and you will be guided. But they will require 1 professional referee and 1 academic referee, surely. You joined late. I believe I can still access the recording. Yes, that is possible. So anyway, those are questions in the chat box. Does somebody feel they want to say out their question by voice, by speaking? We have another like 20 minutes before the end of the call. Anybody wants to ask a question and they want to say it by mouth other than texting?
Right. Before they
Okay.
can ask the question,
Yeah.
can I just add to the question raised by Santino Magut, who applied and he made it to the interview stage but did not make it. And if he could use the previous essays, yeah, I think your response was very clear that there has been a time lag between the previous application and now, and he could have done something actually that is different from what he wrote, so he can update that to make his essays current, because a lot of things have transpired. But also, other than that, when you're writing your essays, you remember that you have to tailor it to the global context, right? To make it current. For example, during the COVID-19 pandemic, a lot of things happened in that period, and a lot of people were writing their essays, incorporating that context. How is it affecting your work? How are you contributing to it? And now we are seeing that, a lot of things happen. There has been war here and there. Maybe you're working in a humanitarian setting and you did contribute something to maybe war in Sudan, war in where in Palestine or stuff like that. So these are things that make your essays current and not look like something that is outdated. So while you're writing your essays, keep that global context in mind and see how it also reflects in your essays. And that is what makes the difference between your previous application and now. Otherwise, your experiences are not invalid, because those are the things you've done, and perhaps those are the those experiences are the ones that you currently have. You might have not added a lot of new things, but just make sure you update it and polish them and add something better, because the process is competitive, and you might, someone else might have written a similar essay and they can just, beat you by a slight inch. So make sure your essays are crispy and up to date. That's what I wanted to add. So you can go on with your questions now.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Robert. I think nobody has put up their hand yet, but I'm seeing more questions in the chat box. I've responded to one of them. Peter, you're asking, I stated that higher education level is degree level holder. Does it mean diploma holder level are ineligible for the scholar? No, that's not the meaning. The meaning is Chevening scholarship is for people with the degree holder, with the degrees and above. I don't know, but the point is they want you to have a bachelor's degree, and it is the bachelor's degree your university will need to admit you for a master's degree. It doesn't mean your diploma is not helpful or is not needed. You could list your diploma, but I don't think it makes a higher degree kind of classification of your degree. Does your career plan has to build from existing experience, or you can start new career plan based on the courses selected? Lubajo or Gift, do you want to respond to that?
Okay, I think I will quickly comment on that. So yes, your career plan, if you it's usually advisable to make sure that you limit yourself within your career plan or area of practice, because that is what makes your essay coherent. You cannot be an engineer applying for a medical course and planning to be a lawyer, something like that. You see, that makes it complicated. However, it is possible for you to, deviate a little bit from your career plan, depending on how you think you will make more impact. And you have to justify that clearly in your third essay that is studying in the UK. For example, you're a nurse and then you're applying for, you're a nurse, you've been practicing nursing, and then you're applying for public health, or you're applying for a course in the health domain. You have to justify why you are not going for a nursing course, but rather going for public health. It's something like maybe you feel like you can make more impact if you're doing a public health. Maybe you're good in that area, and you think that while being a nurse, you are actually not making enough impact. So you have to kind of justify that that bit of deviation to convince the people that, yeah, you've actually found a new area where you can perform better. But don't, shift from this profession, from engineering to law and all that. I think that one, it is not coherent, and it will be difficult to convince the reading panel that you actually are having a coherent essay. So that's what I can say briefly. Maybe Gift and Benjamin can have something to add, but actually this is a very important area that you need to address, because yes, in my undergrad, for example, I did medical laboratory, and then I went and studied health policy. So I did that kind of justification into why I am studying health policy and not medical laboratory. So that is my feedback to that question.
Thank you, Robert. Maybe if Gift wants to come in after me, but I think the point is clear. I know that for some countries and maybe some individuals, getting a job in your field of study from bachelor's degree level may be very difficult. I know of some people who have done, for example, engineering, petroleum engineering, and they are working in the media, for example, just because they couldn't get a job related to petroleum engineering. Now, if that person has found maybe new passion for media work and wants to do a master's degree in the UK, they can still do it. They can still get a Chevening scholarship. But like Robert put it, it has to be well justified. For example, after my bachelor's degree, I didn't get this job related to my maybe what I studied, and I've worked 5 years in the media houses, and I think I'm now doing so well in it that I'm changing career. That's fine. But I mean, the coherence, the flow, the continuity has to be seen, at least from your professional, as the question here says, how this relates to your previous academic or professional experience. It is either relationship with the academic, which may not be the case, but at least professional experience. So there are two things there that you can use to justify why you are going for something different than what you did in your bachelor's degree. Barnaba, do you want to ask by unmuting?
Yes, thank you. Yes, I want to ask something very brief. Actually, I thank you so much for the orientation that you have just given us. So actually, I've already started my application last week, and from the form that I started filling, they asked about my work history. Like, for example, they asked how many hours per week. But here I saw like you were mentioning something like more than 200 plus, of which I calculated my working hours as 8 hours per day times the 5 days of the week. That amounts to 40 hours per week. So that's what I put. So is it different from what you have just told us in regard to working history. The second question is that I am currently working at the University of Bahr Ghazal here in Wow. I graduated in year 2022 in Ethiopia, Jimma University, and I have a plan to do one of the courses, more especially in anything like epidemiology or Masters of Public Health in General MPH or Masters of Science in Human Nutrition, and I have applied in 3 different schools. So how are they going to do my? Now I'm preparing to write the essay about it, but I didn't start. I was waiting for this session, and then hopefully I will begin right away from today or even tomorrow possible.
I've not got your second question exactly, but okay, could you repeat your second question?
The second question is that I have applied, I've started the form, I've filled the form, and I've chosen 3 universities. Within this university, there is one where I choose Masters of Science in Epidemiology, and there is one where I choose MPA generally, and another one is Masters of Science in Human Nutrition. So are they going to see this one as related or not? Because I have a bachelor degree in public health from Jimma University, Ethiopia, 2022, and I've been working as a teaching assistant for the past 1 year and a half now.
Yeah, I've got you. I don't know whether you feel those 3 courses are related. They don't sound to me like they're related, but you need to, one way you could tell is read the course description from maybe your university of choice. How do they describe the course? And you compare with the course maybe in the same university or a different university. Do they sound related? Do they share any modules, for example? They could be generally public health courses, I think. But I mean, I cannot give you an answer right now whether they are really related or not. You have to do that homework by yourself to understand whether they are related or not. But if one of my colleagues here has an answer to that, they are also welcome to give. On the first question, what you are doing is the right thing. 8 hours per day, 5 working days, that's 40 hours per week. And the 2,800 hours I mentioned are for the 2-year work experience that Chevening wants you to have. So it's a cumulative for all that. Like you should have at least that amount of hours. And really, when you entered your hours correctly as you described, if you have worked for at least 2 years with that same contract of 8 hours per day, 40 per week, I think you will have got that amount of hours or even more. So that's the answer to the first question. I don't know, any of my colleagues, do you want to respond to the second question, whether his courses are related or not?
Well, like you said, that is up to him to research, compare the courses, compare the modules. Are they related? I know nutrition and public health, they kind of cross-cut, but it is not us to decide. It is up to you. You can also check the frequently asked questions. I think there might be similar questions in the Chevening website. So make sure you do your research. We cannot be able to tell you, and then you come and quote us for it. So please do your research.
Right, thank you. Robert Dada, Dadason, I see your hand is up. If
All
you
right,
can hear.
thank you so much,
ask
Dr.
your
Benjamin. And yes, I'm getting you.
Go
and
ahead.
Robert, it's a pleasure getting lectures from you, looking at the experience of last year and also trying to get back to the scholarship this year. I just wanted to find out, last year I had an experience. There's one university I applied to, but then they tried to ask me for some application fee. I tried to really struggle and navigate. I couldn't manage. I don't know how this can be navigated, or what advice can you give to such situation? Thank you.
Welcome. Application fees is definitely beyond Chevening and also beyond us, I guess. You just have to figure it out how to pay it if the university you want to study in is charging you. I think I had a similar experience, and Robert Lubajo here will testify. In 2022, while I was working on applying to LSHTM, I had to pay that amount of money, and I had challenges with the bank and all that. Honestly, I had to pay actually more than the amount of money they required from me in terms of application, in terms of transfer fee. So that challenge is there, but there's no way we can really be of better help than you maneuvering the system or the payment system that the university requires. All right. That's just that the university requires it. There's no way around it. But there are also universities that don't charge application fee. You could find out from each university's website, especially when you know the course you want to study and you know which university offers it. You could look at whether the university asks any application fee or not. I think the next hand up is from Alice. Alice Kanyana, go ahead.
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I am grateful for this call. Like I'm really learning, like getting the information from this discussion because I'm applying as well. I wanted actually to answer that person, like, and then I go on and ask my question.
Go ahead.
Like for the university, if they have an application fees, I've asked like my colleague who have got already the who was accepted, who got the scholarship, and I was actually had that problem as well. Like, what's gonna happen if they ask me for application fees? And then she told me you can text them and tell them I come from a developing country and I don't have. I'm actually doing it's like an internship, it's not a job, so I do not have money. Like I am underpaid. And then you ask them, and then tell them I am actually searching for Chevening scholarship, so I'm not capable to pay. And then you tell them like, would you please waive? Waive it's like removing the fees, and they have removed the fees for her, so they can actually do it. You just have to keep that in mind. Like you text them and tell them like you can't pay because of different reasons. You from the country, you're from a poor country and you don't have a real job. Like you are underpaid, so you can't pay for the fees, and then they remove the fees, they waive. So this was my question. It is my first time to attend such a call, and I've also started my application. So I wanted the tips from anyone, be you another person or all of you, the tips on for the application, the written application, what to do, like what can make my application stand up, what makes an application stand up. Is it the essays? If it's the essays, what to write in the essay that can make you be selected, like that can make your written application stand out, what to consider when writing the essays or replying the essays. That's one. Second, the tips for the interview, like what should we do in the interview if you get selected, then how to answer, or what is the key things to say in the interview so that you can be selected, because we really want the scholarship. So the tips on the essays and the tips on the interview. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. Yeah, thank you for answering or providing some guidance to Dadason. That is an option. Somebody can try it out with the university they really want to study in if they are charging application fee. Remember, it's just between you and the university. It's not a Chevening thing. It's not our thing as your mentors in this application process. So it's sometimes luck. If it works out, well and good. If it doesn't work out, you will have to pay the application fee, unfortunately. But yeah, it's an option somebody can try. Now, to your questions, Alice, the second one about interviews. First, if you want to really know more, you can read from the website about any interview tips. They are also there on the website, but it's not the focus for these sessions, not for this time. However, if you put up very competitive and compelling essays that take you to the interview stage next year, hopefully we will also be back to support you and others who will have been selected for interviews, and we will talk more about interview tips at that time, around February, March. For the essays, the next two sessions we will hold will be focusing on each essay. So two essays in the second session and the last two essays in the last session. I would recommend that you attend those two remaining sessions so that we give you the details of what you really need to say or write in each essay. We are not going to provide you answers or words or statements that you can include this, don't include that. It has to come from you. If it is your leadership experience, networking experience, we cannot influence it. We cannot give it to you. It is yours. We just guide you on how do you write it, in which order or structure, such that it looks good. And like I already said, when we finish this third session, we will also give the opportunity for 2 weeks for people to submit to us their written essays, and then we will look at them and maybe give them feedback constructively. Truly, what helps you to stand out and go to interview stage are the essays. As you see, the rest of the application form, parts of the application form are really, really not very much helpful in somebody deciding who can be a good student or scholar of Chevening. So yes, it is the essays, to answer you in short, and we will discuss the essays in the next 2 sessions. Thank you. Looks like there's no more question, and I don't see any any hands up.
There is
Well,
one more hand from Lokiri,
okay, Lokiri, go ahead.
and there is a
Okay.
question from Lisa.
Thank you so much, Dr. Benjamin and the colleagues. I actually raised 2 questions before, but already you've already answered, and I'm really happy and really great hearing from you with all this elaborate information for this first session. I actually applied for Chevening 2022-2023 for the first time, and I also got up to the interview stage. But it's actually sad to say that I wasn't successful after the interview. And when I applied for 2023, 2024, I actually didn't make it to the interview. So now I understand from all this information, I understand where it went wrong that actually dropped me out. So I'm actually looking forward to attending the next 2 sessions and possibly also engaging with you in future. Yeah. So really, thank you so much, and yeah, really hoping to engage more on this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you for appreciating. Yeah, it's part of the experience, but I'm happy that you are still determined to apply again. So good luck. I think that's it, everybody. Thank you all so much. Robert and Gift, any closing remarks?
Just one last comment before the closing remark. I think what Lokiri brought is related to what Alice was talking about regarding the interviews, and I think this we will touch on it when we get there. Like Benjamin said, usually in those activities, I don't want to preempt it, but we even did give an opportunity for a mock interview, because that's what gives you confidence to be able to go there and naturally speak yourself. But yeah, we will get there if you continue to engage with the team, and you don't need to worry about what happens in the future. Just take things one at a time. So let's focus on this stage so that we go to the next stage. I want to answer the question of Lisok about the difference between the application for the scholarship and application to the universities. Those are 2 different applications. And usually what you do is to first apply for the scholarship. And once you've submitted your application for the scholarship, the next thing you want to do immediately is to start applying to the universities. So you could do that around October, November, December, up to March or April. And at the same time, you should also be thinking about taking an English language examination, depending on what your university wants. So that is what makes the process really, intense, because you're not going to rest just after submitting your application for the scholarship. You're going to be applying to universities, and then you're going to be doing your English language exams. Unfortunately, some of these things require cost, and you need to plan from now, to have a little bit of a budget to facilitate some of these activities. Regarding the English, regarding application fees, yes, it's a case by case. Some universities don't need application fee, others need application fee, but others waive it for specific countries. Say those who come from LMICs, like maybe if you do apply to Oxford and you're from LMIC, they will definitely waive the English language requirement. But I did apply to UCL and LSHTM, and you realize that you cannot submit your application. You cannot submit your application without actually paying for it. But of course, you also have the freedom to engage with the university on email and share the evidences that you have to see what they do. It's unfortunate that some universities take too long to respond. For example, UCL can take like 8 weeks to respond to you, and it is not assurance that they're going to respond to you positively. So you need to prepare financially to see how you can also pay for some of these things, because I realized they actually make a significant impact on the choices of universities that people make. Some people want to go to Oxford, but they cannot afford the application fee. They ended up settling to a university that does not have an application fee. So have that at the back of your mind. while you're applying to these universities. We are going past time. I think these are my comments for now. Thank you so much for attending this session, and I look forward to seeing you in the next session.
Thank you, Robert. I think just to maybe correct a slip of the tongue from you. You apply to University of Oxford from LMIC country. You don't pay application fee, but you might be required to give the English language test. It depends. I have also seen one last question in the chat box from Asma about somebody who has majority of their work experience outside the country that they're applying through. And I think that is exactly something one of our mentees faced. First of all, the mentee didn't open up to me that they were applying through a different country. And I knew the mentee belonged to one country that the process of mentoring them, I was preparing them for that country. And it turned out they were not selected after the interviews, and then they now opened up to me and said they actually applied through the other country. Then I was like, you should have told me this from the beginning, because it's different. How you approach it is different. Your work experience is majorly in another country. You have to justify better and more, in a very much clearer, stronger way, why that experience is still applicable to this country or has helped you, because whatever impact you have had is in a different country, not the country that you're applying through. So I think that's a very important one. I don't know what tips I can give at the moment. However, I think it will just be about, if you reach the interview stage, it will have to be about how do you justify that even if I worked in a different country, I can still study through my country of origin, come back to this country, and maybe do more work. Because I think one worry people may have is, since your work experience is in a different country, will you really come and work in this country that you're applying through? So I think that one, perhaps we will also navigate it more and better when we reach interview stage. For now, we will have to leave it at that. At least for the application bit, I think they won't be looking at your experiences in a different country and you're applying through a different country, so they won't select you. No, they will not look at that. So we are truly past our time. I want to apologize, but I thank you all so much who have made it to this call. Those who want to apply, we encourage you to take the steps. Begin with the basic steps I have tried to show you in this session and build on them. And we will hope to see more of you, if not all, and new people even on the 7th of next month, as we now delve into the essays and discuss them in more detail, giving examples of how to write them. Thank you all so much. I wish you all a very nice weekend, and good luck for those who will be applying. Thank you and bye.
Thank you, Benjamin.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.